Before we begin, if you enjoy mysterious folklore, chilling historical legends, and hidden stories from around the world, take a quick moment to like this video, comment below where you're watching from, and subscribe for more fascinating stories like this. Because tonight's legend isn't just about a monster. It's about something villagers once believed could walk after death, something priests claimed they could stop with a single sheet of paper, and something travelers feared meeting on lonely mountain roads after sunset. They called it the Jiangshi, the hopping vampire of Chinese folklore. For centuries across rural China, stories spread of bodies that refused to stay buried. These were not ghosts drifting through the air but physical corpses, stiff, silent, and moving. Travelers described walking through misty paths at dusk when they would notice a lone figure standing perfectly still ahead, dressed in old official robes. At first nothing seemed strange. But then the figure suddenly jumped forward in one rigid motion, landing heavily before leaping again. Witnesses said the movement itself caused instant fear. Both legs remained locked straight, arms stretched forward, and the body moved with a stiff, mechanical rhythm. Survivors often remembered the sound even more clearly than the sight, a slow, heavy thud striking the ground again and again in the darkness. Not footsteps. Not breathing. Just the rhythmic impact of something solid getting closer through the night. The creature's appearance became consistent across many regional tales. Its skin was described as pale gray or faintly green with the look of early decay. Fingernails seemed unusually long, clothing often resembled burial garments, and the face looked frozen between lifeless and alert. Some claimed the eyes glowed faintly in darkness, while others said they were completely empty, making the silent jumping motion feel even more unnatural. According to folklore, the Jiangshi hopped not by choice but because death had stiffened its body so completely that bending the knees was impossible. The corpse could not walk normally and could not run. It moved in the only motion its rigid frame allowed, a full body leap forward, landing flat, then springing again. This strangely physical explanation made the legend feel disturbingly believable, as if the horror followed the rules of a real dead body. Traditional belief held that not every corpse became a Jiangshi. Something had to go terribly wrong after death. Some said the soul might fail to separate properly, leaving spiritual energy trapped in the flesh. Others warned that improper burial rites, violent deaths, cursed ground, or neglected ancestral rituals could disturb the balance between worlds. The Jiangshi therefore represented not just death itself, but death handled incorrectly. Some historians believe the legend may partly connect to real funeral practices. In older times, families often demanded that relatives be buried in their home village no matter where they died. Transporting bodies long distances across mountains was difficult, and folklore tells of Taoist priests guiding corpses home at night through ritual processions. Stories claimed multiple bodies appeared to move upright in synchronized hops behind a priest ringing a bell, an image that permanently shaped the mythology. Unlike Western vampires that drink blood, the Jiangshi was believed to drain something more fundamental, a person's qi, the life force described in Chinese philosophy as the energy behind breath, warmth, and vitality. Victims in the stories did not simply bleed. Instead they weakened, grew pale, and collapsed as though their very existence were slowly being emptied from within. Because the threat was taken seriously in legend, detailed defenses also developed. Taoist priests were said to specialize in controlling these undead beings using ritual tools such as carved wooden swords, spirit-commanding bells, polished mirrors, and bundles of yellow paper talismans painted with red calligraphy spells meant to control supernatural forces. These talismans became the most famous protection of all. Legend insisted that placing one directly on the Jiangshi's forehead would freeze it instantly in place. The corpse would remain completely motionless, silent and immobilized, until the enchanted paper was removed. This single image of a hopping corpse stopped by a paper charm became one of the most recognizable visuals in Chinese supernatural storytelling. Other traditions mention symbolic defenses like scattering sticky rice, believed to represent purity and life. Such practices reinforced the idea that the Jiangshi was not simply a monster but a disruption of cosmic order, something that appeared when natural spiritual balance had been broken and required ritual knowledge to restore. Among the most chilling stories were tales of professional corpse drivers hired to transport the dead across provinces. They supposedly traveled only at night and warned villagers to stay indoors if bells were heard in the darkness. Some witnesses claimed to see silhouettes moving in synchronized hops behind a robed guide under moonlight. Whether exaggerated memory or myth, these accounts strengthen the fear surrounding the hopping dead. By the 20th century, the Jiangshi evolved from whispered village terror into a major cultural icon. Hong Kong cinema of the 1980s turned the hopping vampire into a popular horror figure, mixing supernatural suspense with action and humor. These films introduced the creature worldwide and permanently fixed the image of the stiff, talisman-stopped corpse in global pop culture. Yet beneath the movies and entertainment, the deeper meaning of the legend remained powerful. The Jiangshi reflects a universal human fear, not simply dying, but dying improperly. It represents forgotten rituals, unfinished responsibilities, and the unsettling idea that the boundary between life and death depends on fragile traditions being completed correctly. The horror lies not in what the creature wants, but in what went wrong before it ever began to move. If you enjoyed this story and want more fascinating legends from around the world, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below telling us which folklore creature you want us to cover next. And remember, if you ever hear a slow, heavy, rhythmic thud outside late at night, not footsteps, not breathing, just something landing and jumping, some old stories say it might be wiser not to open the door.